columnist, and author. She's all three. She's so hot that hot tamales are now called AnnCoulter tamales. Kind of wordy, but it'll do. It's comedian Joe DeVito. Seems MSNBC host Joe Scarborough thinks he has the answer to what's wrong with American politics, and that answer is more V-neck sweaters. No, actually, it's worse. Scarby will appear at the debut event of a group called No Labels later this month, joined by New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg, Evan Bayh, Joe Lieberman, Christy Todd Whitman, and other incredibly dull people. So what's the message of this snooze fest? Don't be so mean, you big meanies. Democratic fundraiser Nancy Jacobson launched No Labels last year, and the group's message is thusly, we are not labels, we are people. What is this, a song lyric? We believe hyper-partisanship is destroying our politics and paralyzing our issues, but we do you, Nancy face. Anyway, now I'm cranky. Strange, but civil. And this seems right up your alley. How come you are not speaking at this event?
I don't know. I think they're pushing their dark horse candidate who's going to take America by surprise, Lamar Alexander.
Really? You know, he is so out of my, consciousness, I can barely remember what he looks like.
Plaid.
Plaid?
Yeah.
It was kind of like the father of the Waltons, right?
Fun Lamar Alexander. In fact, you know why they call him a dark horse?
What?
He's hung like one.
No.
True story. That's absolutely true. I read it on a blog.
After that talk I had with you, Bill, this afternoon about these jokes, within 3 minutes.
It's a fact.
Whittle, I call you Whittle because that's Bill. No, I'll just call him crap. Where was this group, the whole 8 years Bush was president, when people were calling him Hitler?
They were doing the same thing. They were saying, why do we want labels? And you know what's interesting about this? It's always the liberals and the progressives who don't want labels. When conservatives are having a political argument, it's a fight to see who can be more conservative.
Right.
I'm more conservative than you are. No, you're not a real conservative. I'm a real conservative. But when you deal with liberals, it's like, so how liberal are you? Oh, let's not use any labels here. We don't know why we have to resort to labels.
They replace it with progressive. And
But
then now
that's a label too.
Yeah, they don't like that either.
Well, now, hold on. Scarborough may not be a true conservative in every sense of the word, but he's certainly no liberal. Never has been, never will
Have
be.
you seen
He's
those-
a Florida Republican.
Have you
can't
seen
be a
those
liberal in
V-neck
Florida.
sweaters?
They're wonderful.
Those V-neck
I've seen
sweaters-
you in V-neck sweaters, sir,
Those
without a shirt underneath, and it's offensive.
That was at a club in Ibiza, and you should never bring that up.
Oh, no politics in Ibiza.
Yes.
Certainly a lot of other things.
The people who don't want labels are liberals because they say this is a liberal policy for America. They'll never get elected. I was in California for the recent denial. You know, the wave hits California and stops. But Jerry Brown was running like, I'm going to be tough on crime. I'm going to limit the budget. I'm going to cut spending. I am the most conservative man on the ticket. And he's the biggest liberal that ever lived. So they don't want the label because they know that label is plutonium.
The problem is the people that have lived in California the last 30 years have no memory of who Jerry Brown is. They don't even know who Linda Ronstadt is. Joe, I'm interested in your take. I'm sure this is like some event that you would probably firebomb.
Oh, yeah. I think it's interesting. It's the call for civility now. It's like a guy who starts a fist fight, and then once he starts to get pummeled, says, hey, can't we talk this out here?
Yes! Thank you!
But I think anyone who's seen those, you see those programs where they show the footage of other countries where the parliaments have brawls and fist fights. And I think, as an American, we get so jealous when we see that. I think we need more duels. Duels would be fun to see. I mean, that's what I'd call legislating.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
Absolutely.
Duel would be great. You know what, Bill? Shouldn't this event be called We Got Spanked by the TeaParty.org?
I think the Tea Party's against spanking. It's taking game.
None of our arguments have held up. How about the argument this is really stupid?
It is stupid. I'll say that. It isn't stupid. It's slightly boring. But that's the problem.
Yes,
it should be more boring. Like sound bites are interesting, but they're not going to get anything done in this country.
One last thing. It's always interesting to me when independents and moderates decide to stake out their position. It's like that episode on Futurama where the planet of the neutrals decide to call a beige alert. And it's like, if I shouldn't make it through this, tell my wife I said hello.
That is a good point, because you know who wore beige? Nazis.
Yeah,
but
the thing is, Ann, what kills me about this, it's a fake construct. It's not like this is a response to the Tea Parties. It really is.
Right.
The Tea Parties is organic. These are media people forming this. When a media group is forming it can't be grassroots. It's elitist stupidity.
Right. No, and Joe is right. It's right after they passed the most left-wing legislation in the history of America, and then say, okay, let's everybody be civil.
Yeah, now let's talk.
Right.
And the real truth is, centrists just like to act superior. Isn't that it? To tell us that we're all idiots, like Bill just did now.
I mean, you kind of are.
Yeah, this is what this is their way of saying,
It's just,
I don't have to make a stand. You guys are so stupid.
It's not about making a stand. It's about, wanting to be part of a club, I think. And it's also about,
But
like,
you're being part of the same club.
conservative on
You're
some
being in
things.
the centrist club.
You can be conservative on some things and liberal on other things. That's reason, and it has not been restored. No thanks to you, John Stewart.
They're
in
trying to
the
act like they're
stupid
the
club.
Mr. Spock's of politics,
Yes.
where they're not affected by any emotions or anything like that.
The only
You know,
thing...
the problem is every time Mr. Spock is in charge of the Enterprise, things go terribly wrong.
No,
You know,
he's
you
got
don't
that
want
7-year
that
warning.
you don't want that intellectual
You know why?
You want a captain. You want a guy in the gold velour.
No, it's don't ask, don't tell. That's the
That's
problem.
totally
But
different.
I got to tell you, the one last point before I move on. I'm very jealous of him because the show is Morning Joe. Because he can't get canned. Because they have to find it. Interpol, the band, issued a red notice to help nab the WikiLeaks wuss, who's wanted in Sweden, of all places, on suspicion of sex crimes. Worth noting, his mother runs a puppet theater. Explains so much. Anyway, Assange's whereabouts are unknown. But he did an interview on Skype with Time Magazine in which he said Hillary Clinton should resign if she ordered diplomats to spy on the UN. I believe we have a clip from that interview. It's pretty incisive. Meantime, former Arkansas Governor and Torch fan Mike Huckabee weighed in on the wiki mess, saying, quote, "Whoever in our government leaked that information is guilty of treason, and I think anything less than execution is too kind a penalty."
Doing it. Is treason a crime? Yes or no? It should be a crime, and if it is a crime, it needs to be punished. And we're not punishing these people; we're just laughing at them.
Yeah.
So if you don't punish cheaters, cheaters have a reward for cheating.
That is so true, and that's true in life, Ann. Not just here in espionage. What do you take? What's your take on this? Do you think it's as bad as everybody says it is, Ann, or is this just something that?
No, I think it is very bad, and Bill's right. We don't prosecute treason. I love Sarah Palin. I love what she's doing now. I hope she doesn't run for president because I want her to keep doing what she's doing now. But when you see a case like this, you do think, which of the presidential candidates would start enforcing the treason laws? And there's only one. I think Sarah Palin might do it. But I do think Assange deserves the ultimate penalty, and that is his own primetime show on MSNBC.
Oh, he would be fantastic. I'll tell you what.
Then the WikiLeaks would never have come out.
But you know,
Yeah,
Bill,
no
don't you
one
think
would
he's
know.
kind of embarrassed by his mom? It's like he's totally doing something really cool, you know, all of it, and then his mom goes, "Oh, I'm really worried." It's like, don't you hate that?
His mom totally reminds me of my mom. His whole, like, don't hunt down my son, mom. My mom is exactly like that, minus the don't part.
No, yeah.
She's always like, hunt down my son.
Yes.
She gives them guns, Craig.
Yeah, and it was Assange. I really don't care. But my bigger question is, why do D-bags look like D-bags?
He really does.
He seems like the guy that would answer the door of his apartment in a turtleneck and nothing else, and just like kind of walk around.
Hey, with those things that
Can I
hold
get
the
you
socks
some
up.
wine? Oh, it's only 8 a.m. Oh, make me some
Have
wine.
you tried ass angie?
Yeah, there you have it.
You know, crack.
You know what the ultimate arrogance of guys like this is, though. When he was questioned about this, he says, "Well, you know, just because you're powerful doesn't mean you make the laws." And Hillary Clinton doesn't make the laws. But apparently he does make the laws, because there are laws on the books for what is treason, what is a crime, what's not a crime. People like this say, you've got no right to say that that's a law, and then therefore they say they're going to be the determinants of what the law is. The arrogance of these guys, just unbelievable, really.
And what about, by the way, I don't care how concerned his mom is. What about the moms of all the soldiers and the people that are put at risk?
Well,
There's a
I
lot
think
more of
with
them.
his mother leaping out to defend him like this, if you thought he was going to be beaten up in prison before.
Well, so can we get back to Sweden again? Because I always want to.
The museum is more than a wry commentary on life without aspirations. It's a salute to capitalism. From every corner...